Hi everyone. Click play so you can hear me and I'm not just a talking face. Hi, how are you? Happy Tuesday night. I am Hallie Sherman from Speech Time Fun, and I am here this week talking all about language. I welcome replay viewers since no one's here with me yet live, but I hope some of you come tuning in and join me. If you're watching a replay and want to make sure that you are watching and catching us live when we come on Tuesdays, make sure you are clicking the notifications button on our Facebook group. There's like 3 dots or whatever when you open up the page. So make sure you click that so that you can get notified when there's any posts. This way you can see if we are putting in a new giveaway. But then also you can see when we are live. And typically it's Tuesday nights is when we're going to be doing lives. Me and Felice are switching off. So this week it is my week. Last time, if you saw the video, we talked all about inferencing. And I figured this week I will touch upon main idea and context clues. So since those are other big goals and things that our students need, and they tend to carry over into our language goals. Oh, hello everyone coming on in. I don't know about you, but I love using the listening comprehension test when I am evaluating my students, that when the teachers are saying that they're struggling with reading comprehension or processing, when they say that, I like to use that test because it really breaks it down by skill. I like to see it tells me, main idea, details, context clues. It tells me a great idea in a paragraph level when it's just listening. And I always tell the teachers, I'm doing something different. I'm doing the language portion of it. Are they understanding the text? Are they understanding the question? Are they understanding the vocabulary? And it's all really about breaking it down, like where are they struggling? And so if they are struggling with just answering the question, are they not recognizing? I like to teach my students to recognize the key words, like what the story is mainly about. The author's mostly trying to tell you the questions that, and we do a lot of samples and different variations of that question to make sure they recognize that is the main idea question. So, we'll start with main idea. I like to break it up. I'll start with pictures. What's this picture all about? Then I will do, so I'll start with pictures, and then I'll do a sentence. What is this sentence all about? Come up with one word to describe it. And I start with that. Then we'll even do a paragraph level. Give me one word. What's the whole thing mainly about? Is it about soccer? And we think about categories. What are the different details? What are some aspects, some key terms that you keep hearing over and over and over? Like we'll break up each sentence. What is this sentence about? What's this sentence about? All these things have to do with what? One word. Once the students can grasp one word, we need to get them to answer in more than one word. So I like to use the strategy of who or what is it about and what did they do or what happened to them. And my students do really well with just breaking it down that way and that mentality of I just need to answer this and that's my main idea. It's a great starting point. And also, teaching them to look for that, the first sentence and the last sentence of a paragraph, it might be there. Telling them that strategy is really just a good one for let's check that off. Is that one it? That one it? If not, who is it and what did they do? Like, what was their main action? Like today I was doing a whole activity on planting, and it was like first she went to the store, and then she did this, and she did all these things. And my students, when I asked them, what is it all about? They wanted to just tell me everything. I go, no, one sentence, one thing. How can we describe all those things? What activity does it have to do with? And they had to come up with one word. And it was tough. And by making, we spelled out all the different details, and we said what all these things have in common. And that was how we came up with the main idea, and that really helped them. Any questions on main idea? How I work on it? What do I use? That was one strategy, is just starting with picture level, then giving them that prompt of who is it and what do they do. I like to use the concept of an umbrella. All right, giving them that metaphor that the main idea is like an umbrella. It covers the whole thing, and the details are being protected by the umbrella. It's underneath it, and I just use that metaphor over and over and over with like graphic organizers and things like that, just to help them understand, for a bigger text, there's just so many details, and that main idea has to cover them, the whole thing. So I do a lot of different activities like that to help them grasp it. And I just keep breaking it down. And like, I'll give them the details, and they have to sort it by the main idea. All right, that's something I do. You know, what are the details? It's the who, it's the what, it's the where, the why, all those, it's the WH things. It's all those details that we use graphic organizers for, that we're listening for, and you can predict the questions for. So that's how I do main idea. Any questions? No? Nothing? All right. Okay. I like to use main idea with everything. So if I'm reading a storybook, I'll stop after each page and be like, what's this page all about? And then, you know, we can even draw pictures or write a sentence, or sometimes I even let them sketch out in a picture. I'll give them, like, you know, a graphic organizer with circles, and in each circle or box or whatever, they have to draw. I'll stop after each paragraph or a couple pages of a storybook, and they have to doodle what the whole thing was about in one picture. They have to come up with the best picture to depict what they heard or read. And that's a great way of, like, okay, there's no writing, there's no words, they have to just do it in an image. So if you have students that are, you know, artists or have trouble retrieving certain words, that's a way to come up with, like, what's the whole thing about. Like, or even I'll have students illustrate the ending, once the whole story is written, read or heard. Let's create, you know, a story or a comic or something, you know, depicting the whole story. So that's how I do main idea. That seems to work for my students. You know, they're expected as of 2nd, 3rd grade to really understand the concept of main idea and what the story is mostly or mainly about, things like that. What's the author's purpose, things like that. So that's main idea. Next is context clues. All right, so my students, they're either they have no clue what the word means, no matter what I do, or they get it, they grasp it, they have no idea how they got it, right? Am I the only one that's, like, you know, one of those two, right? So, okay, so students as like 3rd grade are expected to, like, according to Common Core and things, they're expected to know, even like at the sentence level, and understand what words mean based on a sentence. I love using K12reader.com. If you click on context clues, they break down by grade, different worksheets and activities, and it tells you, like, the grade level and the Common Core level, so it's a good, like, reference. I like using that site just for, like, getting a quick, like, what are they expected to do sort of thing. So here is, like, at the sentence level, you can see, all right, she penned a letter, I can't even read, to her aunt. They have to use the clues, and there's 2 choices. Now, some of my students, if they're familiar with the word, they're going to just guess the choice right away. I like to cover up the choices first. So I might, you know, fold the paper, be all creative like that, and cover the answer choices. And, okay, you know, what do you think it means? I mean, what's the whole sentence about? What is she doing? What might she use to complete that task? Or whatever, you know, the thing is. And that's how I like to do it. Sometimes I've even, you know, I like to do sometimes nonsense words. So I'll take, especially if students are like, oh, I've heard this word, and they're not able to retrieve the clues because they've heard it before, maybe. Nonsense words, okay? So, and I'm going to put links to all these things that I've found in there. These are, like, this is a free resource. This is a free resource. So this is like, my grandmother gave me a bleep, bleep, bleep when I was a baby. Well, what could it be, right? There's many things that a baby can get, right? Right? It could be a bottle. It could be a diaper, right? Well, you need more clues, right? So you have to keep reading. Right? So I try to teach my students that, like, it might not be in that exact sentence. You might need to read a little further. And even, like, I sometimes have my students come up with their own nonsense word sentences. And I like to start with the tier 1 words first when I'm introducing it. So, like, you know, today I wrote with my blah, 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 which was yellow and had an eraser. What do you think my blah, blah, blah is? Right? Okay? So, it's tier 1, familiar word, okay? And I gave you enough clues. What were my clues? I told you what it looked like. I told you where I'd find it. I told you what I would do with it. Those are the clues, right? And you can guess what the whole sentence is about, right? I said it was about writing and about something in school. So, I will do a whole bunch of those. I'll start with, like, some basic, you know, school words, clothing words, and I'll start with basic adjectives and use nonsense words to substitute it, and they have to just guess. and use the clues, and then let them come up with their own also after that. And they have so much fun with they were like, I don't even know the sentences that I was hearing even today. They were like coming up with, and I was like, that's not enough clues, guys. I luckily know what you're talking about because I know their interests. They were like talking about PlayStation, PSP, whatever it was. And I literally used blah, blah, blah as my nonsense word. You got to use it. Hey, I use like peanut butter today, like to talking about something else. You got to use what you got to do. So, right, Erin? So I used blah, blah, blah. And I saw one of my students was like, well, I was playing blah, blah, blah after school. I was like, well, that could have been soccer. He was like, I turned it on. I was like, okay, so I know it's a video game. I was like, there's a lot of systems. I need more clues. And finally, like, they had to realize that, like, they needed to tell me where to help me guess it. And so it was good for, like, students with, like, word finding difficult. There was so many other goals we were able to work on at the same time. But they needed to understand that there's clues. And that's like, a lot of times in, like, the activities that we do, like, there's multiple choice or it's, like, an obvious answer. But I always tell my students, if you're, struggling reader or you're reading read a text that's maybe above your reading level or vocabulary level, new words. If you're reading a science book on a new chapter, you might not have ever heard of a ribosome or something like that. So not only can you not sound it out, you never heard of it. Well, what can you guess it has to do with it, right? What are some hints? It might be bolded, so it might be an important word. And I try to teach them where they can use what's the topic of the thing, what is it all about, anything. I also like to show them if there's pictures, that's a clue. So here I'm going to show you a task card thing that I found. Let's see, this one's not a good one. Okay, so this is all about like a meeting, okay, and there's a picture, so that's another clue. So I like to show my students, okay, look for the pictures, look for what the whole thing is about, get the gist. Are there choices, and plug them all in, right? That makes sense also. With context clues, also I try to teach them, is there a synonym? Is there an example? Is there an antonym? If there's an antonym, it might say, but not, or a comma or something like that, the word but. So that's something that they like to see, and I like to just show them a lot of models. Another activity I've done with my students to help them understand context clues is I've taken song lyrics. I've taken a song that I know they know, and then I take a song that I know they don't know. So I will print it out, and I will white out some of the words that I know they'll just know just from seeing it. And I show it to them, and I'm like, okay, here's the story that we're doing today. And they go through it, and they're like, 3 lines in, they're like, wait a minute, I know this song. I think I've done it with Taylor Swift songs or whatever. And I've just whited out just some basic, like, words throughout, and I'm like, how are you able to know this? Like, well, I've heard the words. I was like, pretend you were an alien and you didn't know the song. How would you guess it? And they have to look for the clues, and it's tough for them. So then I take a song that they don't know, like I'm taking like the Monster Mash or something like that, and I've whited out vocabulary words, and they have to guess what words could go in that spot based on using their clues. And it's tough because they're not familiar with it. And then I play the song for them, and they get a kick out of it, and then we sing along and all that fun stuff. So that is just another activity that you can do to work on context clues using familiar texts and things like that. So just using nonsense words, whiting things out, teaching them to look for those clues, pictures if there's any pictures, and even using their background knowledge. That's a clue. Like if they've been to a Yankee game, they might be able to guess, I don't know, I can't think of a word on the spot, but it may not know. Like I had a student today who had the strongest vocabulary in the group, and his goal was his goal was sentence structure. His goal was not context clues. I was working on context clues with the other 2 in my group, but I knew he would know how to do it. But I challenged him because I was like, you need to explain to the other ones how you know it. So the 2 students in my group today, they needed to just figure out what the word meant. They had to, listen to the whole sentence, take a guess, think about what they know, what they don't know, and try to make a guess using all the choices. This one student, who was my strong one, and he got so frustrated because he was like, I know what triumph means, and he got all frustrated on me, and I'm like, I know you know, but how do you know? Explain it to them who are still learning, and he had to use his sentence structure, like goals. We were working on conjunctions and things like that, and he had to do that and explain it to the other ones what that word meant, and he struggled. So it was even a good task for him, and it benefited him to be able to explain that. As long as he had advice. See, exactly, right, Christina? Like anything that makes them using pop culture, anything that they're interested in. Even the activity today that I used with them was from the Speech Bubble, SLP. It was her speech book context clues activity, and they loved it because it was like a Little Miss Muffet's like Facebook status, and they thought it was the funniest thing, and it was a QR code activity, which even they loved as well. So that was just fun for them. But yeah, anything that just brings out anything so that they can look at, I start out so it's obvious, and then I try to make it not so obvious. So we'll start with the tier 1, then go to tier 2. I might use the nonsense words, I might white out words, using song lyrics or anything like that. Have things with pictures, they can use that as a clue. Let's see what else I brought with me. And then and then even the Speech Bubble SLP also has her worksheets, and I've done that today too. Where where did I put it? Sorry, going through all my stuff that I brought home with me. So she has the paragraphs, the stories, and then you have to figure out the words. And there's choices, so I like to cover up the choices. It makes it harder for them to then tell me in their own words and then find the word that best matches what they said to me. And then they have to identify the clue and find it, which is hard for them. It really is. It's actually not, some of them are not as obvious. So this is something that's a really cute activity that makes them think a little bit. I also like to use graphic organizers as much as possible. So this one's a good one. It was, found this one free on TBT. Here's the word. I think it means clues that help me. And this, I use a lot of models because like they really struggle with the clues. So that's why I like to give them I have visuals like, what kind of clue was it? Was it an example, explanation, synonym? And we'll go through it before each activity. Like, all right, here are clues. I will write it on with a dry erase marker on my therapy table, all the different types of clues it could possibly be. Was it just the main idea? Was your background knowledge? Was it the picture? Was there an example in the story or a synonym or an antonym? What helped you? So, and then also even my students today, they even one of my students said to me today, Could I plug in these words? I'm having trouble. And I was like, sure. And I was like, it's a strategy. Let's do that for now. He recognized he couldn't figure it out. He wanted to do that, and he figured it, and he was so proud of himself. The confidence and everything. I was like, I gave him the choices. How do you hide it? And he saw it. Hello, Felice. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was just sharing some many tips for context clues. In the beginning of this video, it's all about main idea, since I know you were excited to hear all about main idea. And I was sharing about my fun ways of working on context clues using nonsense words, starting with tier 1 words like pencil and sneakers, and then going to, adjectives, and then using song lyrics and whiting out some popular words. Words from popular songs and having them guess it and figuring it out. So those are just some fun ways I like to work on. Oh, thank you guys. So work on context clues, and then you take it to the story level and paragraph level. I find my students, when they're familiar with the word, they're able to figure it out. They just don't know how, and then they don't know when they get to a word that they don't know what it is, and they don't know what to do. And I find that as SLPs, we're so used to let's give them a choice, or keep prompting. But if they're taking a test or in the classroom with 30 other students, they might not ask for help. And that's one of my strategies. I'm always ask for help. But I try to tell them, what can we do? You don't know what and a lot of times, for my students, it's not even that they don't know what the word means. Most of the time, they can't sound it out when they're reading. And that's where their struggling is. So that's why if you use the nonsense words, it's like, well, I don't know what that means. I don't know what a blah, blah, blah is. So, and like I said, I had my students write the nonsense words and sentences for me. And they got such a kick out of it. Being able to trick me and give me clues to try to guess it. And it made it a fun little game, who can trick Mrs. Sherman. So, thank you. So that's just some fun ideas to work on context clues. I know we're all tired, exhausted. Some of you are done soon. I'm really jealous. But some of us are going for another month, so I will be happy to share tons of ideas with you if you ever need. I'm going to put in the comments, once I'm done talking, all the links to all the things I mentioned today, some fun free resources. Like I said, I love using K12reader.com because it breaks down those skills and tells you based on the activity, the grade level, and the Common Core standard. This way, like, you get a good idea, because we're not in the classroom. It's really hard sometimes to guess like what they actually are expected to know. So I like to use websites like that the teachers are using to get that gist and gauge of where they should be, especially when we're working with so many different grade levels. It's like, which was it, the sentence level or the paragraph level that Johnny was supposed to be knowing? So quickly being able to look that up is really good. And then my other favorite website is I'm loving readworks.org is my other favorite one. So you can find passages for free, and it has lessons, and it also has, you can look by skill. Like if you want to work on main idea, you can get passages for main idea if you want, and it tells you the Lexile and I think grade level as well. So I'm going to put links to all of that in the comments so you can look those up, check those things out, all those resources. And like I said, you can find lyrics by Googling anything. Taylor Swift, usually her lyrics are clean, right? And they're motivating. They've all heard of Taylor Swift. I mean, come on. I don't know, some other. I always stick to the ones I know, and then although I don't know. So one of my students requested Ed Sheeran. I was like, okay, his lyrics are clean, so I've used him. So I use what I know, and I've never heard of this song. I'm saying I'm not playing it, I'm not using it. So I need to screen it first. So have a good night. I hope you enjoyed all these tips. This video will be in this group, so you can review it, view it again, fast forward it, whatever, to whatever parts you need. I am here. If you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me at speechtimefun@gmail.com. Message me on any form of social media or message me in this group. I am happy and here to help you. I have tons of students with higher level thinking goals, and I'm always trying to do different things that's different than the classroom teachers to try to help them grasp it and really truly understand it and drill. So I am here to help you, and have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.